So 2024 has been a fascinating year so far for the indie animation community, with a new project releasing every single month. Honestly, at this rate, there's no chance my upload schedule will ever forgive me for what's about to come. However, among the pile of new content I now have, one really caught me by surprise. Created by ZZ and premiering its first ever pilot on April 6th of this year, Ramshackle may be a very promising show at a glance, but does it actually live up to the attention it is already receiving? Well, we shall see in today's review. As usual, I'm about to give a brief summary of the episode, but if you want to save some time of yours, skip to this very lovely timestamp below. This is Ramshackle. Pilot begins with a markable plushie. The pilot begins by introducing our three main protagonists, Vinny, Skip, and Stone, in the midst of searching through an alleyway in hopes of finding a misplaced can of beans they had from the previous night. However, during the search, the crew unintentionally found a baby in a garbage can, but instead of tossing it on the side, because they're not monsters, they all decide, you know what guys, why don't we adopt this baby, shall we? With a new addition to their crew, oh geez, I wonder where this story goes. The group then heads to the main streets of LA, I mean Ramshackle, to begin teaching Maggot their way of living. Pickpocketing, of course, a requirement all schools should teach. Landing their eyes on an unsuspecting woman, the group was about to steal from the rich lady, but Skips, as the good boy he is, notice how the mother is treating her child about the way they are smiling, decides to interrupt and tell the woman that it's perfectly healthy for children to express themselves. But of course, as always, things backfire the second she realizes she's in the presence of a scrap, or homeless people in this universe. In her best efforts though, she tries to scream out for help from the nearby guards, but unfortunately for her, Maggot, becoming the monster I am at the buffet, eats the woman whole, which surprisingly has no blood, but also at the same time, are we not acknowledging the fact that there is a newly created orphan on the street now? No? Anyways, after all of those series of events, realizing they still have yet to solve their food issue, Maggot, for the plot convenience, somehow burps out a flyer, no question asked, which advertised the city local baby pageant with a cash prize of $10 whole. With no better ideas, the group joins the contest and we now cut to the said contest. Despite having a very tough competition, with even one of them looking like Slappy the Dummy, out of sheer luck nevertheless, and plot convenience of course, Maggot becomes his true destiny and wins the contest in spite of the rich folks not agreeing. However, like every celebrity known to exist, Maggot gets bombarded by paparazzi and contract deals, which of course makes him cry. Quickly rushing on stage, the group then confronts and defends Maggot from the crowd, which causes Vinny to go all out and kinda argue back with the fact that if they grew up on the streets like them, they would at least have some sympathy. Well, obviously this blew their cover, now forcing the group into throwing hands with the town residents, but despite their current position, it seemed they managed to stand their ground. For about 5 seconds, this eventually overwhelms the group, but Maggot, seeing our heroes in a desperate time, literally becomes biblically accurate Yag and reveals his true purpose here, being all just a test to find out the city's true nature. Concluding to the fact that they are all unworthy, Maggot literally Thanos snaps everyone out of existence, but rewards our main protagonist with a can of beans. For showing kindness, of course. Yes, we end the pilot with beans. So, what did I think of this pilot? Well, it's definitely a very promising show. From the small cast of characters to some decent animation, music that I would find myself listening to on a short road trip, pacing wasn't so bad, and a very appealing art style. Looked like someone spilled a cup of coffee. Wait, actually, before we move on, can we take a minute here to acknowledge these little details that make the art style so unique? The rough scribbles, the misplaced lines, backgrounds that look like it was made in 5 seconds. Even the main street signs themselves have their own little details, if you decide to pause, with titles like overpriced coffee, stuff you don't need, and we can't forget fast food for rich people. Ah yes, I see they opened a new Five Guys down the street. Anyways, I think I'm getting sidetracked here. What else we should talk about? Alright, the characters. First we have Vinny, of course, obviously the strong leader of the group, but regarding that ruthless face sometimes, also has a very charming side to her character. A surprisingly caring person to not only her partners in crime, but anyone that just needs some assistance. For example, take this scene where Vinny is talking to Stone one-on-one in the alleyways.
How the hell are we gonna raise a baby if we can't even take care of ourselves?
Hey, you were in maggot shoes too, remember? Me and Skip found you sopping wet from the rain. You looked so dumb. Anyway, Maggot's part of her crew now. Losers like us. We're all we've got on this bitch of an earth, so we gotta stick together.
To be honest with you, I really like this moment a lot. Scenes like these really make me appreciate her character and the show even more. I gotta admit, Vinny wasn't really my favorite at the start, but the more I rewatched the pilot, I believe Vinny may be the show's strongest character. My reason? Not only did the pilot do a wonderful job showcasing this and balancing both aspects of her character really well, but combine her quirky, warm-hearted nature with a possible hidden psycho, I feel like she has a great shot to be a very beloved character, like the other two. Speaking of which, Stone is your typical grumpy emo boy you will see in cartoons. What do you expect? With a design that screams 2000 punk rock, I can easily see why people fall in love with his design. However, on the other hand, what surprised me most about his character is just like Vinny, also seemed to have a more caring side you don't usually see in his type of character, which makes him more unique ever so more. So while on top of mixing this in with a more moody side, yeah, I feel like his character would be great. I also do like his voice. Finally we got Skip, the most humble and nicest one among the group. Yeah, that's really it. Even though he's just the typical nice guy trope you will find in every indie show to this point and can be boring sometimes, I honestly believe it can work. Just picture this, a later episode where Vinny and Stone get into a major conflict of some sort that causes the band to split, but since Skip is the most heartwarming among the group, it will probably be our saving grace to this iconic trio. Oh wait, I'm just referencing that one Ed, and Eddie scene, am I? Anyways, I'm just glad this show decided to have such a small cast of characters. No doubt in my mind there will be plenty of time to establish each of the members individually, but additionally, the way the show set it up, as of right now, it is also looking very promising. Wait a minute. A leader? A grumpy one? And a dumb goofy one? Alright, let's finally talk about the main issue I had with Ramshackle. The pilot itself isn't engaging enough. Yeah, it may set up the characters well enough for a later episode, but on the downside, there isn't much for the narrative itself. If we take a look in the description for a quick second, the main premise of the show is obviously focusing on the daily misadventure of the main three. However, despite this, what is the overall end goal and purpose of these misadventures? Just to survive and repeat? I mean, it's an alright premise, don't get me wrong, but I feel like if you want people to come back to every single episode of the show, you must have an engaging enough plot that can ultimately span across several of its episodes. This not only builds a fun central basis to come back to, but also allow viewers to be excited when the next episode drops. Obviously, this problem can be fixed easily as we are only one episode in, but as of right now though, besides the characters and the art style, so far Ramshackle doesn't have anything else to keep the viewers interested. Well, that's really all I need to talk about, folks. That's Ramshackle for you. Overall, a very promising pilot that has a lot of potential to be really good. From the endearing art style to a laid-back country-ish music, smooth animation, and interesting characters I would love to see growing up with one another. Besides that one issue I previously mentioned, I believe Ramshackle is definitely a fun watch. Enough being said, see you guys all in the stars.
Poor